So this is a recording that I actually made for my mom when I was supposed to be teaching a yoga class, but no one could come due to conflicting meetings. And since it was already on my schedule, I figured I'd record it anyways. And I think it's going to end up on YouTube later. So this is restorative. When I say restorative, that can mean a couple different things. Typically, a restorative yoga will have some movement, but you would hold poses in more of like a stretching position. But today I think we'll just do mostly yin, which is holding the stretches for a long time. So we'll come in on our backs with the soles of our feet together. Use your ab muscles to help you slowly lower down. And once you're there, place one hand over your belly, one hand over your heart to connect with your breath. It's a lot easier if you have some music going in the background and your dog's outside. Send your breath all the way to the belly. By making your diaphragm expand, sends the signal to your nervous system to relax. You can feel the chest expand too, and if you press, with gentle pressure, you can feel your heartbeat. A very simple guided meditation that I was going to offer you today was just going to be to think about going into a 3-day weekend and something you can do for your mind or body to help you feel like you've relaxed when you come out of the 3-day weekend. It's typical to go into this break so excited thinking you'll feel so much better, but then when you get back to work after the break, you wonder why you don't feel any better. And that's because the stuff that it's so tempting to do, like binging TV shows, which I'm not knocking because I do that too, it's just not enough by itself. It doesn't go straight to the core of who you are. It doesn't bring the mind and body together in any kind of intentional way. So as you arrive on your mat, arrive to your practice, and you arrive at your breath, we'll spend the next few moments in silence, searching, asking our body and our mind, what's the one thing that we need this weekend? If you don't come up with anything, of course I'll make suggestions. Flutter your eyes back open and arrive back in the room. If you start to feel discomfort in your hips, you can pull your feet closer to your body. Or you could even close your knees like a book with your hands. Take the pressure off your hips, but stay on your back. What did you come up with as the one thing that you would do for yourself this weekend? Was it hot tea, a hot bath? The trick is to make it simple. Was it carving out time to read? Was it carving out time to take a dog for a really long walk? Spending time with a loved one? Calling someone? Oh, give yourself a big stretch. Arms above your body, feet pointed below you, full body stretch. And come up to a seat. However you want to get there is fine. You can rock and roll, or you can use your arms to push you up. The next thing that we'll do is seated cat-cows, and I think I'll stay sideways so that you can see the movement that I create in my spine. I cross my ankles the comfortable way, put my hands on my knees, and check my posture. My gaze is neutral, my neck is straight without me forcing any kind of movement there. The crown of my head points up. My shoulders are back. I'm pulling my abs towards my spine, and I'm perched on my sits bones. For seated cat-cows, instead of being in tabletop position, you stay seated and you bring the arch and the fold into your spine. And the movement in your head and hips is not as dramatic, but the space that you create around the ribs is just as good as if you had done cat-cow the other way. So it's the same breath to movement. When you arch your back, you match that with an exhale, cat. When you inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. 2 or 3 more and then come back to neutral. Make the last one dramatic. And back to neutral. From here, walk your hands to the mat. And on your exhale, we'll walk them towards the right. Keep your spine long. We're finding a stretch in the left side body here. Keep breathing in this pose. Send the inhale down the ribs, through the hips. If you feel discomfort in your leg joints, you can flex your toes back to push those joints back into natural alignment. Dramatic inhales and exhales here. The deeper you breathe, the further you sink into the pose. A few more breaths and then we'll push back up. You might play with a variation where you roll your one shoulder open, bring your gaze under one arm or the other, finding wherever you need that stretch. On your next inhale, walk your hands back to center. Find a slight sway, and then walk them back up to seated. I think I will rotate a little. Still trying to figure out how to teach on video. Walk your hands back to the mat, and then we'll take this to the other side on an exhale. Find the point where your body starts to resist. Sink into that point. And you might find that you can go further into the stretch after you've sent some breath to these muscles. A few breath cycles will do it. My spine is still straight here, and my arm muscles are still just enough engaged so that I don't completely flop down to my mat. My arms are straight, but my elbows are not locked out. I've started to loosen up a little. I'll walk my hands maybe 2 inches more to the left. Can make micro adjustments. If there's a crunchy spot in your side that you need to get into and really stretch out. Sometimes it takes slight movements to find that spot. And all my dedicated side sleepers are going to find this a really beneficial stretch tonight as you're drifting off to sleep and tomorrow when you wake up. You can take your gaze to the right or down or to the left. Just don't bring it up. You don't need that kind of stress in our necks right now. I think I need to close Outlook. Take a few more breaths in this stretch. And then we'll start to walk it, our hands back to the front and back up to seated. Readjust so that you're perched high on your sits bones. And then now that we've loosened up in the abs, in the back, and in the sides, let's bring more of a stretch into the ribs with our seated side twist. So find that stretch by lifting the arms and then just twisting in the ribs, really isolating in the ribs, and then hands back to the knees. We'll walk both hands towards the right. Your right hand comes behind you. Your left hand comes to your right knee. With your spine still straight, inhale. And then exhale, send your gaze out over your right shoulder without arching or folding in the back. It's tempting to bring up this leg to really fold into the stretch. But try to keep both hips down evenly and both knees down. You can do another seated side twist where the knee comes up and you get a deeper stretch. You use the knee as kind of a bolster in a different way if it comes up. Every time you inhale, find more length in the spine. Every time you exhale, find a deeper twist. Your knees start to hurt, it will help to bring a pillow under the knees, or a yoga block, or a folded up towel, or folded up blanket. And if you want to elevate your hips higher than the knee, you can sit on something. We'll be in this twist a few more breaths. Quiet. Sorry, that's my dogs. The puppy squeals like a pig when she wrestles. And it sounds like they're doing horrible things to each other, but they're not. Take one more deep, exaggerated inhale here. Sigh it out, the deepest twist you've taken so far. And on your next inhale, come back to center, bring the arms up. Let's take a back bend with prayer hands at our forehead. And back to seated. We'll take this twist out to the left. Remember to keep the spine straight. Every inhale, you straighten the spine a little more. Every exhale, twist deeper in the ribs. Take another dramatic breath here. Find length on your inhale. Find the deepest twist yet on your exhale. And then twist back to center. Bring the arms up into prayer hands. Bend at the elbows. Take a back bend. And then set back in a neutral seated position. We'll take one more seated side twist. And this one will bring the knee up to use as a bolster. I think you'll find that it's a little easier to twist deeper if you have something to push against. So for this one, the legs got long. There's another app I need to close so that my video stays quiet. Pull your right knee up to where your sole is on your mat and bring your left arm straight up. Find a slight twist in the ribs and bring the left elbow down outside the right knee. This right arm comes out behind you for support. Then you lead with your gaze into another twist in the ribs. You'll find that this one, it's easier to push into a deeper twist because you have your knee to push off of. I've done that before. And the more you push, the deeper you twist. But in the other pose, if you had pushed off of your knee, you would have lifted your hips up off the mat. But something about this pose, your hips just stay grounded. My neck is telling me to chill out on the gaze. These aren't strength building poses, but they do help you in the strength building poses. When you get into these deep twists and deep stretches, you loosen up the connective tissues of the body, the fascia, cartilage, even tendons and ligaments have slight give. They're there for protection, but sometimes they just get built up and so thick and so stationary that they prevent us from doing certain poses. And we stretch them a little over time. I wouldn't suggest breaking your foot because that's how I stretched all of the ligaments in my feet, but the gentle stretches over time lengthen those parts of the body and loosen them up and allow us to get into deeper strength building poses. And of course, deeper stretches. Let's take one more dramatic breath here before you bring it back to center. Both knees back on the mat, tap them out if one of them started to tingle a little. And then we'll reset on the other side. Bring the left knee up, the right arm straight up, and twist enough so that that right elbow can come outside the left knee. The left hand comes down for balance. Settle into the side twist here. Every inhale, elongate in the spine. Every exhale, twist a little deeper. This pose that we're in is called Half Lord of the Fishes. It's a mystery what full Lord of the Fishes is. Puppy, no. You know that you're doing the proper breathing for this if you can hear your inhales and your exhales. Begin to unwind everything slowly. And then we'll come into a forward fold, but before we get there, I don't know about you, but my neck is asking me for some neck rolls. So you can have your legs in whatever pose you want. This is staff pose or pike, depending on what your exercise background is. Or you can cross your legs or put the soles of your feet together and the knees out wide. Wherever you are, plant your hands. Exhale, drop your chin to your chest. And then roll it up on the right side and down the left. Stop in any crunchy spot
that needs a stationary stretch. But never stop breathing. If you stop to stretch, just keep doing breath cycles. Even if your neck stops moving, keep breathing. Once you've done 3, reverse it. Go up the left side and down the right. Don't slump in the chest or shoulders. Stay perched on your sits bones. Keep your abs pulled back towards your spine. And back at neutral, come up. And we'll get ready for a forward fold. So sometimes it helps if you have a lot of meat in the back area to pull at your skin until you can feel that you're perched high on those sits bones. And as you get into the forward fold, you ease your way in a few inches at a time with every exhale. You send your hands a little further towards your feet. If you have a yoga strap, you can wrap it around the bottom of your feet and hold the sides. Or if you have a bath towel, you can put the bath towel behind your feet and pull the sides back up for some resistance. It gets you a deeper back stretch. Or you can just put a pillow across your thighs and you can rest the belly and let the head hang. Or you can do all the above. You can do a pillow and a yoga strap, or a pillow and a yoga towel. But focus in this stretch on breathing through it and walking your hands further forward over time. Some people you'll see in a studio, they'll get 2 bolsters. They might put one here and then they might put one sideways on top and lean their head on it. And take this into a super restorative forward fold where their forehead is resting on something. That is my favorite kind. I'm not going to sleep in this pose, and my legs are still engaged. My fingers are still engaged. The only thing I'm resting is my neck. We've asked our necks to do a lot for the last 30 minutes. Let's give that a chance to sink in and rest. I always find myself coming into a sway when I'm in a pose that is targeting the hips or lower back. The swaying can help you use momentum and gravity to slightly come in and out of a deeper version of the pose. Not for everyone. Not everyone likes to sway. People just want to stay stationary. Oh, and here we go. I found my toes. I relaxed for long enough that I just folded deep enough to grab my toes. But I've been doing this pose for 27 and a half years, so don't beat yourself up if you're not there yet. Remember to keep breathing in this pose. Send the breaths to the lower back, the hips, the glutes, the IT band, the back of the legs, all the way up through the toes and hands and around again. Long line of energy as we connect all of our extremities. That's funny, I said long line. I meant a circle of energy.
you have a partner in your home with you, now would be a great time to call on a favor that they might owe you and have them put slight pressure on the bottom of your shoulders or the center of your back to push you a little deeper into this pose now that you're loosened up. Slowly walk your way back out of this pose, but do it gently.
You might have a lot of discomfort on the way back up. The next pose will be a wide-legged forward fold. So send the ankles out as far as you can to the sides. When you start to feel resistance on the inside of the thighs, that's where you should stop. And we'll do the same thing here. We'll walk our hands forward until we just can't come forward anymore. And we'll take this into a restorative forward fold by bringing the head down to rest.
And it might take you a few breaths to really get there.
But by the end of it, you might find that your head is completely down on the floor and your arms out wide in dragonfly pose. I don't know that I'm going to get there today. Not exactly one of my goals. I just want to sleep better. It's my big thing. Pandemic has given me all sorts of crazy dreams. But I started taking melatonin and that has helped a little. It doesn't knock you out, but it surely helps you. Sure helps. If it wasn't so expensive, I would give it to my kid every night. She goes through spurts where she'll get separation anxiety at night. And then for like 8 months, she'll be totally fine at night. You can see that I have sank deeper into the pose, and that's just from being patient with my body. I couldn't do this 90 seconds ago. Puppy, no. I feel this pose, I feel the stretch in places that I wouldn't even expect, like behind my knees. And actually right on the side of my left knee. Little micro adjustment helps with that. I brought my heels in a little, just slightly, and it eased up on my knees. I've clasped my hands behind my lower back and just let my arms sit as dead weight against my back. It helps push into the stretch. It helps release the tension in the hips. We don't even think about how much we carry there. But sometimes in yoga, people find themselves in a hip opening stretch or a heart opening stretch and they're crying and they don't know why.
but it's because of the release of tension. It totally coincides with the release of the emotions that you've been carrying. And I don't mean to say that emotions literally live in places in your body, but there are places of your body that will tighten up in the muscles due to certain emotions that you're feeling. The hips and chest and shoulders are the best examples. If you had your cheek on the mat or the pillow or your forearm, switch your cheek to the other side. Bring your head back to center on your forehead. And we'll slowly push back up to seated.
Ease the knees back together and the ankles back together. Tap the legs down on the mat. Such a good pose. And our next one, yeah, we have time for it. We'll take frog pose. If this is too intense for you, take a child's pose. Let me show you the difference. They're similar in that they both loosen up the hips, but one is way more intense than the other. So in child's pose, your knees would come out past hips width. And then if you look back, your big toes would still touch or be really close to touching. Then you just use your arms to push your hips back. And then to take it into a restorative child's pose, just walk your hands forward until you can lay your cheeks down. This one's child's pose. But if it's available to you in frog pose, the knees stay where they are, but you walk the feet out until they come straight out back from the knees. And then you walk the arms forward. So this is frog pose. You see it's looks similar, but it feels completely different. So try both and then settle on one and bring it into a restorative pose with a cushion or using the forearms as a pillow.
Whichever pose you chose here, by now you'll start to feel that your hips have sunk a little deeper, just as the muscles have loosened up a little more. And if you need to take a micro adjustment in the knees or in the ankles to let yourself sink deeper, go ahead and do that. If you do take frog pose, pay attention whenever I cue you to get out of it, because it can be really painful to get out of this one if you've started to lock up in the pose. You have your cheek on a cushion or on the ground, switch it to the other cheek. Just bringing balance to the neck and shoulders. Bring your head back to center from wherever you are. And if you decided to take frog pose, use your arms to pull your hips forward 2 or 3 inches. And then as long as you don't feel any sharp pains, come forward another 2 or 3 inches. If you're in child's pose, you can just push up. But if you're in frog pose, you just keep coming forward until your legs straighten out. Once your legs are straight, just let them lay out long in a wide-legged, I don't even know what to call this. I don't think there's a name for it, but just let your legs stay straight for a few minutes or a few seconds. And then push back. Our last pose before we seal our practice is pigeon. If you want to take pigeon reclined on your back, you would do so by leaving one leg bent, and then you stack the opposite ankle on top of that knee. Then you reach down for that bent leg, the bottom bent leg, and pull it towards your stomach. When you're ready to do the other side, you would just release, stack the opposite ankle over the opposite knee, pull the bottom leg towards you. This is reclined pigeon. If you want to take a supine pigeon on your stomach, it's way more intense. But in my opinion, it's worth it. I always come in from downward facing dog, but you don't have to. Stack my right knee behind my right wrist,
my right foot behind my left wrist. But if I do the full expression of the pose, where the bottom half of my right leg is perpendicular to the left, my hips completely come out, and I'm not even doing pigeon anymore. So it's okay to pull that ankle back towards the body to get the hips pointed back down, because that's how you get the full benefit of this pose. It's not about the leg being perpendicular. It's about the stretch on the outside of the hips. We've done a lot on the inside. Now it's time to bring balance to the outside. I have a cushion under my ribs here, and to sink into this restorative pigeon, I'll walk my hands to my hips, arch my back slightly, finding length, and then slowly lying down. You can have the arms out in a T, curled in, straight in front of you, behind you at your sides. Brings a whole different sensation to the shoulders here. But whatever you do, don't forget to send your breath to that hip. And don't forget to take micro adjustments if you settle into the pose and need a deeper stretch. If you have one cheek on the mat, switch it to the other side. Changing your gaze changes the stretch a little. Put some pressure back in your hands, bring your head back to neutral. Push the upper body up, cushion away from you. And if you took this, a prone pigeon, slowly inch the leg back straight. And then send it out long behind you and rock back and forth with the back toes curled under you. Rock back and forth to loosen up a little in that hip. It's a really intense stretch. So to get back in pigeon on the other side from here, all you have to do is drop the back knee, bring your body weight into your hands, and then let that left foot tuck under the body. Both sides feel completely different, and that's normal. Find whatever version of this pose
gets you to where both of your hips are pointed down. They're even in the back, and your back leg is pointed straight out behind you. Pull your cushion back in close, bring your hands to your hips, push back. With an inhale and then exhale, fold into restorative pigeon.
About ready to close out our practice, so come back to the intention that you set for this 3-day weekend. What thing are you going to do for yourself? You never decided. I'll give you my personal favorites again. Hot tea, hot bath, face mask, just time to read. It's one of my favorite things to do, time to journal. I've come back to that recently, and it's helped with my funky, bad pandemic dreams. Yard work might be restorative for someone. Gardening, even if it's just a low-maintenance succulent garden. I applaud anyone who can keep up with a vegetable garden. I've never been able to. Go to the opposite cheek if you had your head turned. Bring your head back to neutral. Bring some weight back into your hands. Push your cushion away. Walk your hands back up. Curl the back toes under you, lift the knee, and send the leg that was just tucked under you straight out back behind you. Rock back and forth.
Okay, from here, come back into a seat. And we'll get ready for our final Shavasana. This is the point when I would call all sorts of suggestions for yogi's choice, whatever pose you want to take before we do our final Shavasana. For some people, that might be coming back to where we started, where your feet were together, the soles of your feet, and you use your abs to come back into Supta Baddha Konasana. Hand on the belly, hand on the heart. If you still need some more stretch, you could do Happy Baby. Kick your knees out to the side and hold your feet. Or you could send them over your head for plow. Loosens up everything in the lower back. IT band, back of the legs. Whatever it is that you need, take it right now, and then transition into whatever pose you want to take
your final Shavasana. When you do settle into your Shavasana, I would invite you to close your eyes. And as thoughts come into your head, be intentional with how you react. You can swat them away like flies. With every exhale, I would invite you to let go of something that doesn't serve you. With practice, we can come back into control of our own emotions, but it takes a lot of work. So hold something at the front of your mind that no longer serves you. Think about letting it go as you exhale. Or if that whole exercise doesn't serve you, just find a quiet Shavasana where you let your mind go down whatever rabbit hole it wants to. If you want to take a long Shavasana, pause the video and then unpause when you're ready to finish your practice. That way the Shavasana is in your control and it's as long or short as you want and distraction free if you want it to be a long Shavasana. I suggest 5 to 7 minutes, but that is nearly impossible for some people. Lying still for that long without playing a game on your phone takes practice. You have to work your way up. Find gratitude for the work that you've just done, the practice that you've just done. Bring your awareness to your body, especially the lower legs where we did most of our work. The ribs and the lower legs. Ribs, hips, lower legs. The lower body, I mean to say. What do you notice? Is there warmth where there wasn't warmth before? Is there a little remnant of a sensation in one of your joints that wasn't there before? It'll loosen up as you walk later. Is there a tingling sensation, increased circulation, less puffiness? Whatever change you notice brings you closer and closer to a better relationship with your body. You have to listen to it. You have to give it what it needs. The only way to know what it needs is to listen to it. If you're not ready to close out your practice, you can pause the video, but if you are ready, then roll on to your favorite side in the fetal position. If I were in a yoga practice, I'll roll onto my right side, but I don't think that'll work for my video.
This symbolizes that you're almost ready to restart your day or rejoin your day.
Slowly push up to a seat. Whatever is the most comfortable seated position for you. Bring the hands together at your heart. May there be peace in your heart today. Thumbs together at your mouth. May there be peace in your words. Bring your hands to your forehead. May there be peace in your thoughts today. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me.
And the light and the love in me honors the light and the love in you. Remember to let things go, let go of what does not serve you this weekend, and bring in that which does. It'll take effort. You have to do it intentionally, but it'll be worth it. Namaste.